Mr. Weber, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to present in front of you. I'd like to introduce part of the team. Our team is 34 students. The rest of the team is back at East right now trying to frantically get our robot done because we have less than 15 days, 4 hours, and a few minutes to have our robot done. And so hopefully, with a good year like this year with very little snow days, we might be able to make it. I'm going to give you a brief overview about the team, where we're at, and where we're heading, and then I'd like to spend the rest of the time with Q&A and demonstrations with the students. So we started our team December 14th, 2010, and this is currently our 10th season, okay, that we'll be competing with first. We have students from South Lyon East, South Lyon High, and students from the district that go to IA as well. And our successes are plenty, which you'll see here in just a moment. Basically, the Flying Toasters are a partnership between students and mentors. Early on in the season, the mentors model how things happen. By the end of the season, it is the goal that the students take over and they run the team, usually about the end of April when we're at Worlds. We try and bring in real-life engineering, business, life skills, and employability skills that companies are looking for. Our goal is to build a sustainable team that provides an enriching experience, and at the same time, we want to have fun doing it. For us, we have one major goal. There's lots of little goals, but one major goal. And our major goal is Einstein. And that is playing on the playoffs at the World Championships, the final round. Our season is really broken up into two seasons. The first season, FRC season, starts from January, which we get the game the first Saturday in January, and we have roughly 6.5 weeks to go from a manual that thick to a finished robot programmed, ready to run, and ready to compete with. And then we have about 9 weeks of competition where we typically like to compete week 1, 3, 5, week 7 is states, and week 9 is generally Worlds. And Worlds for the past 2 years and this coming year is here in Detroit. Our postseason events start in June, and we do quite a few of them, such as last year, almost every single month we were at some postseason event. In fact, we went to 11 events last year with 61 wins, 25 losses, 1 tie in official play, and 98 wins, 51 losses, and 1 tie in overall play for the whole season. 3 events, we actually had 2 robots. We took the spare parts that we built for this robot and the extra chassis, and we built a second robot so we can have 2 teams fight against each other. You can see our many successes. We actually have 9 blue banners. Our awards have been plenty, and that's a tribute to our students, and it's a tribute to our district. But the robot itself is just 20% of what the team does. We do a lot of things. We have a lot of goals that we do. And you can see a little brief overview of that. By the way, inside the packet I gave you, I put copies of the slides. Okay, because if you are visually challenged like I am and have trifocals, sometimes you need that. For me, one of the most unique times or unique experiences we had was with Governor Rick Schneider. We met him in 2013, the first time we went to States. And by 2018, we had met him so many times that he actually ditched his security forces, come booking over to our pit, calling out our name, and they were frantically trying to keep up with him. And he spent probably about 25 minutes with us, easily at the pit, talking about the robot. He also wrote the foreword to our children's book, and we met him several times up at Lansing and down in Detroit at a business and economic development meeting. Other really cool things that we've done is in June of 2018, we worked with FIRST, the organization that we participate in, to create a equity, diversity, and inclusion training video. And this was over 3 days where a professional film crew came out and used our facilities at East, brought in professional actors, and our students got to be extras in it. It was really cool in the fact that we got to be the people behind the camera as the technicians. So we made the robot work as they pretended that it worked. We learned an awful lot about that. We learned a lot about lighting and how to do videos, and that actually helped us out because later on, we started doing our own YouTube videos. What our challenges are, our challenges are always funding. Okay? We have our students go out and work on sponsorship. We're kind of like a NASCAR team. We live off from the incoming coming from sponsorship. Our product is the robot, our performance, what the team is about, what the students are about. And so we want our students to go out and meet with companies because they're going to have to do interviews, they're going to have to do cold calling, they're going to have to do face-to-face communication and follow up with companies in their future. No matter what they do, from being a doctor to a lawyer to being an engineer, they're going to have those skills. The other thing too is we want our students, by going out to these different companies to get sponsorship, to learn about what the companies do and what careers are offered there. I mean, when I graduated many years ago, there was only a couple things you could do upon graduation. Nowadays, there's 300, 400, 500 different types of engineering fields. Okay. And in some cases, the sponsorship leads to internships so that students can go back and work there after high school and at college. But what we really don't want to do is have the parents write checks, because we want the students to go out and get this experience of making connections. And I'm sure you see how many connections we do make. Okay? Our funding. Our budget costs, our two biggest budget costs is our entry fees. Last year our entry fees were $20,000. The robot and material and components in that was $22,000. Those are our two biggest heavy hitters. And by the way, inside the first packet, inside the first tab, as you go to the back of that tab, you will see these pie charts, because I figured you couldn't read them that well. Okay. So here's kind of a breakdown of what our budget is. We kind of keep changing the budget depending on how things are doing. I mean, you can't spend more than you bring in. And so if we do a little bit better, we look in different directions how we can make the team better. Our expected intake this year was about $34,500 in grants, and we did meet that. Then we have other things like in-kind gifts, unsolicited sponsors, solicited sponsors. Unsolicited sponsors are people that just send us a check saying, we heard about you, here's some money. We always love that, right? Okay. And our 2019 sponsors, you can see in this printout here, Denso, FedEx, Nissan, Roush, each of them were $5,000 each. And the logos here represented people that had given us at least $1,000 or more. So it's between about $1,000 and $5,000 each. The other issue we have is skills. And like any other company, skills are really, really critical for us. When we start looking into skills, if you were to study math 1 hour a day, starting in kindergarten, about 11th grade, you have 2,000 hours in math. If you start a job and you work 40 hours a week in 1 year, that's about 2,000 hours. Most people, most companies are looking, it takes about a year to train someone to be very effective. For us, 2,000 hours in order to be able to machine this robot or design the robot or things of that nature, 2,000 hours is not much if you look at along that line. For us, with our students, with an average attendance of 600 hours per year, to get to 2,000 hours is 3 1/3 years. That means just as they get to be seniors, they get to that level of being experts at it, and then they leave us because we have a 100% graduation rate. I wish we could fail them and keep them. But then they wouldn't be eligible. Okay? So skills is really big for us. Trying to get that, trying to build the skills into with the students. We've looked at many different things, from lectures, from trying things such as challenges. But one of the things that have been coming up foremost, and we're still trying to figure out how to fit this in, integrate it really well, is first badges. How many of you were on a Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts when you were little? Okay, and you had that little rubric that you would check off, and then if you had all the stuff checked off, you got a badge. That's exactly how this works. And in conjunction with the Michigan Department of Education, virtual badges were created for a group of different things, such as machining, communication, leadership, electrical, engineering. And so we're promoting that within our team for students to go fill out those rubrics, come back and earn those virtual badges. And the virtual badges will stay with them through K-16. Cool thing about it is the virtual badges are based on 4 levels following Bloom's taxonomy. The other thing that we do besides just first badges and peer mentorships and having professionals, which we have 12 wonderful professional mentors that work with the students, is we're trying to come up with ways that students can learn outside of our classroom, outside of the meetings. And everyone here has binge watched, right? Yeah, my daughter's got me binge watching Sabrina right now with her. Okay? You don't binge watch? None of you? I know you do. Okay? So we thought, well, this would be a great idea if we created our own channel for binge watching. So we developed Robots Explained, and we've made a series of videos. And the resources to make the videos was surprisingly a lot of time. We were finding that it took upwards of 25 hours just to make a 3 to 4 minute video. It's surprising what it takes to make a quality video. And we're still working towards that. Other things we're doing is like challenge exercises. This year we did Toasty Soccer, where students had to create a small minor game and compete just like we would do in a regular season. Come on. And then if you take a look at our machine shop, we've been trying to make our equipment better and better each year to give us a different level of competition. From the CNC router, which you can see kind of looks like the robot's got woodpecker holes in it. That's because we have to make that robot light. We're known in the state of Michigan as the biggest losers because our first robot was 32 pounds overweight. We've never, ever had that problem again, right? No. So we have to worry about lightweight engineering, which is very similar to what goes on today with vehicles. And so we've upgraded our equipment. We purchased a $20,000 CNC milling machine, 2016, I believe. Last year, we bought a $13,000 CNC router, which made about 80% of that robot. We wouldn't have had that robot done with all the snow days we had last year if it wasn't for that CNC router. We've gone as far as to add digital readouts, which you see in the corner where the lathe is. It's got like green numbers on it, so that we can integrate math skills, X, Y, and Z, or Cartesian coordinates, into our drawings for students to make accurate parts. And unfortunately, we're kind of running out of room because we were able to put the field this year with just that much to spare in the classroom. It's very creative, very, very creative. We have 4 classrooms plus the project room and the hallway, and we're bursting at the seams trying to make things happen. We also have multiple teams using our space. Not only is the FRC field 27 by 54, and to have adequate walking room around it, you need about 40 by 70, but the FTC from Millennium Middle School meets in our space as well. And you need a 12 by 12 area, and in order to walk around that, about 24 by 24. And our machine shop is getting a little packed. We're to the point now we're trying to figure out how could we get some room to put a CNC lathe, or this year we wanted to buy a CNC sheet metal bender. If you can look at lightweight, if you build things out of sheet metal, we can fold it and make it just as strong, but out of much lighter material. Problem was, we couldn't get the sheet metal bender through the doors at East. We were that much off. We even contacted the company to ask them if they could machine it that much shorter. And you can see here pictures. This is a week ago after we tore down the last year's field. Brand new carpet from McNabb Carpeting. They gave us a tremendous discount and delivered the rug to us. So we laid it down. We started the truss assembly. The power bus was just in the way, so we had to make it a little bit taller to make it over the power supply. And, oops, there you can see. Our students are already frantically working on building, and you can see how our room's a little bit tight, but everyone tries to make use of all the space we've got. And then the last thing we were talking about was our mentors and our stakeholders. This year is something really big that we're pushing is stakeholders. We're going back to the sponsors and we're saying thank you very much for giving us the money, but we would like to have more of a relationship with you. Kawasaki Robotics is a new company that's coming up and it's very interested in us. SW Automation over in New Hudson, we're looking at the team going there for a demonstration on the 13th of February. And so we're trying to create more of, not really a partnership, but more of a stake where the companies have a real vested interest into our team. One of these companies that has been there from the beginning was Pratt & Miller. From the onset with Pratt & Miller, not only did they give us money, but they did water jet cutting for us. They bought material for us. They provided site tours and training sessions. One of their engineers, Ryan Baldy, who does aerodynamics design for their Le Mans race vehicles, mentors the team whenever he's in Michigan. Usually he's in Carolinas or over in Europe. And we've had 3 wonderful students from the Flying Toasters go on to be interns at Pratt & Miller. One is still an intern at Pratt & Miller. Another one of our sponsors that has turned into a stakeholder is Golden Refrigerant. This company recycles the Freon or the refrigerant used for heating and cooling. And they have actually had several students intern. The president of the company is our strategy mentor and loves to donate his time to work with the team. Unfortunately, we only get him 2 days a week because he's got a company to run, but he still does come. And we work with his company on developing solutions to some of the problems they're having. For example, right now, they're trying to figure out how to pick up the Freon tanks that are empty so there's not the repetitive stress. And they're looking into equipment that'll do the lifting for you or a cobot to do it. And they want the team to kind of come up with some prototypes on how to pick up that tank. And then other companies like Ford has offered us the Blue Over Scholarship, where the seniors from 2018, 7 of them was granted the scholarship of $2,500 per year up to 4 years. That's $10,000 for 7 kids. That's $70,000. So I know we have to keep it short, and my plan was 20 minutes, and I beat my plan. So what I'd like to do is for questions and answers, let's have our panel stand up. Okay, starting on the far end, why don't you say your name, what school you go to, and what grade you're in, and what do you do on the team?
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Hessel. I go to South Lyon High School. I'm in 10th grade, and I do strategy on the team. Hi, I'm Purvi Patnagar, and I'm in 10th grade also. I go to South Lyon East, and this season I'm on strategy.
Hi, I'm Ben. I go to South Lyon Old. Typically, I'm interested in media and also programming on the team.
I'm Jack. I go to South Lyon High School. I'm a senior this year, and I'm the lead programmer on the team, and I also like to help with some of the design and some of the other work.
I'm Anna Martin. I am a senior at South Lyon East. I work on the design team, and I am the CNC machinist for most of the parts on our robot.
Hi, my name is Jacob. I'm a sophomore on the team. I go to South Lyon High, and I specialize in business outreach and marketing on the team.
Hi, my name is Mason Powers. I go to South Lyon High School. I'm a freshman, and I primarily do electrical on the team.
Okay, do you have any questions for him, or you want demonstrations?
Yes.
Demonstrations.
Yes.
Okay, just to let you know, there's a little green light that is on the sensor we put tape over because earlier it kind of blinded 2 of the board members. So when you see that light go on, that is the auto-targeting system. So if we had the shape and all that, it would find that area, line itself up, and then head towards it.
I think he's pointing at you, Stacy. Hey.
Alright, so this is our robot from the past year's season. This game was called First Destination Deep Space, and the theme was that you're like loading up rocket ships to escape from an incoming sandstorm on a planet. So this game we have two different game pieces down here. We've got that orange ball, that's called a cargo, and our robot's got this roller intake on the front. As you can see, it stands out. Pick up those balls.
Now, can that ball be thrown at anyone right now?
This robot doesn't do much throwing.
Oh,
So, and
Aha.
then our Guitar Hero controller, which we're using to operate our lift on our robot and our output function.
yes.
So, that's what looks like.
That appeared to be a throw to me.
So this robot has a height limit of 4 feet tall in its starting configuration, but it extends up to about 8 to 9 feet at maximum. So then we've got another major game.
Is Ben in danger at all right now?
Hopefully not. So this is our other major game piece. This is called a hatch. And the concept of this game is that this hatch has Velcro on it, so we Velcro it to the side of like a rocket ship, and these hatches would hold in those orange balls. So we can show off how this extends.
You're going to Velcro that to...
Yep. And then the final part of this robot is we would have to climb up, I think it's like a 27-inch tall, basically a big step. So we don't really have a step here, but I can demonstrate how that climber works. So our intake in the front extends out, and we have these two legs in the front of the robot, if you can see them. And when we extend those, they'll push up the robot like that. The robot's kind of doing a push-up, and we can, and we would be able to drive onto that platform and get off and retract ourselves. So that's all the features of our robots. If any of you have any like technical questions about it, we all know how this works, and we'll be glad to answer them.
So
Any other questions about it?
when you go to a competition, is this doing this autonomously, or are you guys controlling it with the controllers?
Yeah, so
Or some of
this
each?
is the combination. Someone wanna-
The first 15 seconds of the match are autonomous, or the robot controls itself, and then the other 2 minutes and 15 seconds, we have humans.
Last year, there wasn't any autonomous. It was called Singapore mode, where we would have like a blanket cover our like driver station. So we had to use a pedal on our driver station right there to maneuver our robot around.
I'm not sure if I can really show you, but our laptop, we've got a couple of video feeds from the robot going, so we can drive this just based on those video feeds. Our robot's also equipped with, I believe, like 24 sensors that we can use to autonomously control almost every aspect of it.
Now, will you take this robot apart and reuse the parts on this year's robot?
No, please. After 1,500 hours, no.
So where do we keep all of the robots?
Weber's museum.
In Weber's backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got like a rack
10
in the
robots
classroom
behind
where we've got all of our robots from previous years lined up.
in the
And
window.
we keep a couple of them running, like this one and our robot from 2016, because the robot from 2016 is kind of built like a tank, and it's really great for taking out to outreach events. And this one just works so well, we want to keep it going.
This is the only one that's not totally worn out.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your outreach programs. I've seen a few, but I think some of our board members may want to hear a little bit more about that.
So for outreach programs, we have like a variety of things. Some of them, like we have a Girl Scout event where we host like different stations in the commons at East, and we present to the Girl Scouts and do different activities with them to encourage them to go into robotics or even just try it out.
At this last Girl Scout event that we had, there was 80 girls, and all of them earned 2 badges, and most of them earned a 3rd badge as well.
So that also ties into some of our other things that we do. We also have FLL teams, which is like the 3rd through 5th grade level of this robotics competition. at 7 of our elementary schools, and we're working on starting up junior FLL teams, which is kindergarten through 3rd grade. We also have 2 FTC teams, which is the middle school level. So we've got all levels covered. And actually, during our Girl Scout event, we actually found several new members for our FLL teams because they found out about robotics through that and thought it was so cool. And now they're on robotics teams at our elementary schools.
On top of that, we went to a dance studio where we did some different activities and also like demoed our robot to the different kids there, and they really enjoyed it.
And you all serve as mentors for the middle school and elementary teams, correct?
Yes. I think we've done something like
347.
hours of mentoring. Our students have done 347 hours of mentoring the FTC and FLL, so elementary school and middle school teams over the past year.
So along with that, we also have the Crumble Rumble for FLL, and that's our own tournament that we host at Millennium. You might have heard of it. We have like 24 teams coming there, and we've had it annually the last 4 years. So teams not just from South Lyon, but from like Novi, like in this whole region, come here to do a tournament at our middle school that we host. And then that's kind of like the broad part of FIRST in our whole robotics program from like elementary school to high school.
Wow.
But it's only a couple hours a week.
It's always amazing.
It is. It's impressive. Amazing. You guys should be very proud of your robot. It's fantastic.
When you go home tonight, thank your parents for letting you do this. Certainly, it shows.
Yes, we definitely enjoy having you come every year and keep us updated on what you're doing.
Well, if you'll go to the 4th tab in your book, we're showing you the super secret picture of this year's robot.
That's top secret.
Top secret. Don't put this on social media tonight.
So what does this one have to do that's different than this?
This year, we are similarly, we're picking out balls, but we're shooting them kind of a distance away into a little target. And we also are going to be climbing up and hanging on a kind of like a swing.
Yeah, like a swinging bar.
Like a teeter-totter.
And one of the challenges is you get extra points for balancing it. And you can have multiple robots hanging, you have to figure out how to balance them, and that's a fun challenge.
Wow.
So for the competitions, is there a theme each year of what the robot has to do, or is it just you decide what you want it to do?
So unlike a sport like football, which is basically the same type of rules, just split up depending on the age level, for us, every year it's totally different. So last year, Boeing was the person that worked with Disney in order for them to develop the fields and all that. And what it was to send a robot to an asteroid to be able to mine the ore and then ship it back to the to the country. Whereas this year, this is Star Wars theme. So we're actually picking up these little yellow balls, and we have to shoot them into targets in order to fill up the energy cells so that we could turn on the field generator to protect us from an incoming asteroid. So that then the droid has to go over, spin a carousel, and put it on the right color on the carousel, and then go over to the teeter-totter and balance.
Wow.
2 minutes, 15 seconds.
Impressive.
During the kickoff, like a big thing that came up strategically for us was that in the field, there's the main rendezvous point, which is that big square that you see, plus there are 2 other parts there on the side, trenches. So that kind of puts a little bump on the floor, so we came across the problem that do we want to go through the middle, or do we want to go through the sides, or reach over from one side of the field, and like a lot of different strategies came up.
Like typically the past few years, we've had taller robots like this, but if we wanted to go under the trench, we'd have to build a shorter robot. So we had a long debate on that, and I'm still not sure which way.
Yeah, but like South Lyon School District, we use data to help us with decisions. Yes, weighted tables. And there's a bit of finance involved into us because every time we go out on the field in our 12 at the first district competition and 12 matches at our second district competition. Each time we're on the field for that 2 minutes, 15 seconds, that's $2,300 of our budget. So there's no pressure.
Well, we know we approve a lot of money for all of you, so
Yeah.
it's,
Hey, before you go, did any of you bring your parents with you tonight? And would you like to introduce them while you're in front? Who's going to start that? Very formal introduction. Yeah.
Mrs. Heisel, could you please stand up? Mr. and Mrs. Clemens, Mrs. Lefevre, Mason's mom. It's been a long day. Carrie, I'd like to introduce. Carrie was on our very first team. She was on the very first Chairman's Award winning team that we had, and she's now back as a mentor on the team.
Nice.
And a sponsor.
And a sponsor.
And a sponsor.
thank you very much.
Good. Thank you.
All right, yes. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Yes.
parents.
Thank you very much.
Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Need someone to grab the driver's station unless Jack wants to drive the robot out.
It's gonna be a pain to push it up.
Really? Yeah, cool. Yeah, really cool.
Oh, I got you. Okay, all right. The controllers. Awesome.
Yes, they know it's run by kids.
That's Thursday.
So that's Angie Smith, which is the School Board of Education.
It's you guys.
Should have something to do with that.
Carrie.
Shouldn't matter. You should maybe,
Come on in.
So George.
No.
So I hadn't thought of
If anyone would like to speak, we have yellow cards in the back you could fill out.
You should probably,
we got our thing going.
Yeah, from,
yeah,
even though there's no money, but it's still,
yeah, it's still part of the contract.
yeah, that's what I figured.
Should.
That's what I figured.
Good day.
Good choice.
Yeah.
I would like to call to order the February 3rd regular Board of Education meeting at 7:05. Mr. Abate, please call the roll.
Mr. Schwegler?
Here.
Mrs. Ertel?
Here.
Mr. Dashner?
Here.
I am here. Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
And Mrs. Hanshaw?
Here. We have a quorum. Mr. Clark is out with an illness, so he will not be here tonight. With that, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Now is the time for public comments. Anyone have any yellow cards? There's another time at the end of the meeting as well. But I do have one. So, Mrs. Saul?
Hi, good evening. My name is Angie Smith, and I'm here tonight representing Oakland School Board, Board Association Board of Directors. I am so sorry we did not get to you for the board month, but Oakland Schools decided this year that we wanted to do something for all of Oakland County school districts. So what we did as a board, as many of you have traveled to Traverse City, some of our board members are now in Washington, and then we will be going to Chicago in a couple of months. So what we decided to do, since we all travel, we had luggage tags made for board members to pass out so that when you go and you travel, you can represent Oakland school boards. So a little note about Oakland School Boards Board Association. Oakland County School Boards Association is your county area school board association. Oakland School Board Association's purpose is to inform and engage every trustee and advocate on behalf of public education throughout the year. Oakland School Board Association provides board members affordable local opportunities for networking and professional development. Our dinner meetings feature a presentation on a timely educational issue, and we invite superintendents, which your superintendent is known for coming, to join their board members at our meetings. We offer a free orientation dinner for all newly elected trustee after November school board elections. Oakland School Board Association communicates meeting opportunities to every Oakland County Board of Education through board presidents and administrative assistants. Oakland School Board Association's Government Relations Committee keeps members up to date on legislative issues that affect every school district in Oakland County and Michigan. The GRC meets monthly at Oakland schools when the state legislature is in session. Whether you are able to attend GRC meetings or not, we ask that every district appoint a trustee so that we can share legislative communications with your board. We hope that you will take advantage of the opportunities that Oakland School Boards Association offers as you serve the students of your district and your community. We hope to see you at our next meeting on Wednesday, March 18th, 2020. Inside here is more information for you and who the officers are. I do know, as a secretary myself, you have 3 minutes for public comment, so I'm not going to go over.
Thank you.
So once again, thank you and congratulations. If you want more of these, I have them available for sale for $3. I'm sure you're going to want to give them to somebody in your administrative staff, so I'm going to pass these out.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak? If you want to speak, you can fill out the yellow card after as well. If you just want to get up now.
Thank
Just
you.
make sure you turn it in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know if you have another member that you wasn't present.
Yes, we have one member.
So that's. Did I give you? Did I share?
We did shake hands.
But I didn't give you.
No, right, thank you. Let's do that.
July.
Thank you, Angie.
You're welcome. Oh, and this is yours too, 3 and 5. Thank you. Let's see.
Stay out of trouble.
Thank you.
I can't. Nice to see you.
Okay, Ms. Wild?
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Cherry Wild. I'm a school bus driver in the district and a mom of 4 kids at Salem Elementary. Today I'm speaking to you as a mom. On September 18th, my 5-year-old son was sexually assaulted in the bathroom at Salem by an 11-year-old student. The staff were informed almost immediately. The school did an investigation in which the other child admitted to what he did to my son. It was labeled as sexual harassment, and the boy was suspended for only 3 days. Before the investigation was completed, my son revealed more details about what happened, to include that he was approached from behind, his pants were pulled down, and he was asked if he was going to tell. Then he said, "Let me do it one more time," before my son was able to get out of his grasp and escape the bathroom. Upon hearing this information, I immediately informed the administration, but these details were omitted from the report, making what happened seem less severe than it really was. The child is being charged by the police with criminal sexual conduct, which is no small matter. The administration assured me that the children would be safe at the school and my son would never be in the same room as the other boy. But on multiple occasions, while doing my duty as a bus driver, I could see that they were in the same room or at Lyon at breakfast, and on a few times right next to each other in line. I have attempted to advocate for the safety of my son and all of the other children at Salem, but as a district employee, I'm afraid for my job if I push any further. It has taken a lot of unanswered questions and frustrations to bring me here today, and as I speak now, I'm terrified for my job and my reputation. For too long, sexual assault has been hush-hush and brushed under the rug, and the victims made to feel silenced and ashamed. I ask you then, why does the district send email notifications about school shooting or bomb threats, warning us without giving any students' private information away, letting us know they take this seriously and that a crime was committed? I ask you, how is this any different? When since the assault, I have received emails letting me know of a child breaking their arm on the playground, and there was an ambulance at the school, but not that there was a police car at the school investigating my son's assault. Parents have the right to know that a sexual assault took place and that the child is still in attendance at that school, so they can talk to their children and be more aware. This affects everyone. Over the past 5 months, my family has gone through a nightmare trying to advocate and protect the children. Now I've learned another child has come forward to the police with allegations about the same boy. I call for transparency on this matter. Another concern I have is that during the time of the assault happened to my son, I was in the school searching for him. Not a single person could tell me where he was. That is because of a severe lack of supervision and accountability during breakfast at the schools, and I call for a change. There is no reason that my 5-year-old should have been able to leave the cafeteria and no one to be aware of his location. I'm supposed to be able to trust that my children are accounted for and safe the moment they step onto the school bus until the moment they step back off at home. But I find myself living in fear every single school day now.
Thank you. Mrs. Streetman?
Yes. I'm actually not from this district. I am a family friend of Cherry's, and I've reached out to help her with the situation. I'm actually one of the parents that were part of the very publicized Brighton boy who attacked 3 girls. And I went through several times of coming to their school board and trying to get them to understand how serious it is, and I'm hoping that hearing from a parent from a different district, that it took us attending 8 school board meetings and actually hiring a lawyer to get them to hear us out and do something to protect our children who were involved. I'm hoping that hearing that those things having to come that many times was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I've now made it my extra job to come. I support parents in court. I support them in coming to meetings like this, because standing up and telling your truth as to what happened to your child is one of the hardest things ever. And when I heard the story of what happened to her son, it broke my heart, because that child is still in school with her son. And I am a sexual assault victim, and I can tell you one of the hardest things on earth is seeing even so much as a picture of the person who hurt you. So her son having, and her other children, having to see this boy every day in the school is uncalled for. We have ways to make it where this child can still get their education and Cherry's family can still have safety. They shouldn't be made to feel unsafe because of the situation. Especially now, we've added another child to this. So evidently this is not going away. So I'd just like to see that everything is very transparent and we do something quickly in this district to make this where it's not what we went through, where it took so long for it to get taken care of.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, with that, we'll move to item number 4, approval of agenda. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda. I'd also like to ask that we have a discussion at some point about the therapy dog proposal from East. I know it's not officially
Well, can I get a support?
Support.
Moved by Mr. Abate, supported by Mrs. Hertel. So we want to add.
We'll do that if we could do that under other, in the administrative section.
Is everyone okay with that? Officially discussing the emotional support dog during other? Okay, so we will do that. Okay, any other changes to the agenda? Okay, all those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Item number 5, approval of minutes. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the January 21st organizational and regular meeting and special meeting minutes, as well as the 2 special meetings on January 27.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Kennedy, supported by Mr. Dashner. Any questions, comments? No? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Item number 6, administrator recommendation for hire.
All right, thank you. We had a retirement of Mr. Mitch Rosecrans at South Lyon High School, and that created a vacancy for an assistant principal. The administration, through the committee hiring process, has named a replacement. The selection was determined based on committee feedback as well as student feedback in the final stages of the process. And I bring before you tonight Mr. Matt Turney. Mr. Turney, if you could stand up. Mr. Turney is here with his wife and daughters as support. We appreciate everybody being here. Mr. Turney is a certified administrator as well as a teacher. He has worked at Heartland Consolidated Schools at Heartland Middle School. He also has been an administrative intern for the past 2.5 years. While he was administrative intern, meaning filling in for principal and assistant principal, he's worked through the restorative justice process. He's also worked and implemented the building-wide PBIS lessons, and he served on the crisis response team. He has assisted the assistant principals with MSTEP and PSAT testing, which falls in line with the responsibilities at the high school as far as testing. He's led professional development sessions and is a member of the district leadership team. He has worked to assist with student class schedules and the schedules within the building. He also worked at Farmington Public Schools at East Middle School. I believe his wife still works in Farmington schools now. And he also worked at Farmington at Harrison High School. He has completed the Path to Leadership program through the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals, and he has a master's degree from Walden University and a bachelor's from Grand Valley State University. And I would recommend that we approve the hiring of Mr. Matt Turney effective February 3rd, 2020, as he shadowed students today to learn a little bit about the life of a high school student at South Lyon High.
All right, can I get a motion?
I will move to approve the hire of Mr. Turney.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Abate, supported by Mr. Tell. Questions or comments? I was on the interview committee, and he did a wonderful job. I think you will do a great job in the high school. So welcome.
We probably had a vote. Do we vote?
Yeah. Roll call vote?
Ms. Hanshaw.
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Dashner.
Yes.
Mrs. Hertel.
Yes.
And Mr. Schwegler.
Motion passes 6-0. Welcome.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I can shake hands and
Absolutely.
just say thanks for the opportunity. Very glad to be here.
Glad you're here.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice
Welcome.
to meet you.
So would you like to introduce anybody while you're wandering around?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, I would.
So you don't get in trouble when you get home?
Thank you.
It'll all be on video.
Just my wife.
Holding the phone.
Hi, Kelly.
She is a
Good.
teacher in Farmington, and then my 2 lovely daughters, Reese and Hannah. Hannah's a student at Millennium Middle School, 6th grader there, and Reese will be joining us in South Lyon next year when she's in middle school. So, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Welcome, all of you.
Ben and Chad think it's appropriate for you and your family to stay for the rest of the board meeting, but if you guys want to go home, my feelings won't be hurt.
Thank you so much. I'll get them to bed.
Thank you. Okay, item 7, acceptance of gifts.
Oh, thank you. South Lyon East High School received the following monetary donations to be used by the robotics team for materials and supplies. As we saw this evening, they do a great job with those. They received a gift of $1,000 and another gift for $100. I would recommend that we accept the gifts in accordance with policy 9350.
Can I get a motion for the acceptance of gifts?
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Dashner, supported by Ms. Hertel. Any questions, comments? Other
No,
than
just
Thank you, and,
thank you to the kind community.
yeah, and we saw what a great job they do with that money, so, thank you. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Item number 8, resolution calling for the bond election on May 5th, 2020.
This agenda item was, information was presented at the January 21st, 2020 meeting. No changes were requested to the presentation. We would recommend approving the resolution as presented.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Dashner, supported by Ms. Hertel. Any questions or comments on the bond language resolution? No? Let's do a roll call vote on that one.
All right, Mr. Dashner?
Yes.
Mr. Tell?
Yes.
Mr. Schwegler?
Yes.
Ms. Hanshaw?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
All right, motion passes 6-0. Item number 9, South Lyon Educational Association, SLEA, collective bargaining agreement approval.
Okay, the South Lyon Education Association and the board's negotiation team have agreed to a successor agreement that expires August 15th, 2021. This agreement includes a 2021 school year calendar and revisions to Section 3.7 as listed in the letter of agreement. All other contractual provisions would remain as written in the August 16, 2016 through August 15th, 2020 collective bargaining agreement. I would recommend that you approve the successor agreement as described in the letter of agreement between the South Lyon Education Association and the board's negotiation team.
I'll move to approve the agreement.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Abate, supported by Mr. Dashner. Questions, comments?
Will the calendar go out to the public after approval of this? I know the community's been wanting what the next year's calendar was going to be.
Correct. This was the final step in the process, and then we'll be able to communicate it out once it's approved, yes.
And we've reduced the number of half-days?
Yes, in short, the half-days are also strategically placed for elementary, where it makes more sense for reporting. So there will be some differences there, so the community will need to, plan accordingly, but they are better utilized than they were in the previous calendars, in our opinion.
All right. All right, let's do a roll call on that.
Okay, Mr. Tell?
Yes.
Mr. Schwegler?
Yes.
Mr. Dashner?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Kennedy?
I have to abstain.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
My wife teaches in the district, so in complete transparency, it would be a conflict of interest, so I abstain.
I meant to not call you at all.
Okay, I get it.
And Mrs. Hanshaw?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. All right, we are on to information and inquiry. Item 10, administration.
Thank you very
legislation.
much. Thank you. I do have a few reminders around legislation, just to kind of recap. The State of the State address was last week, and Governor Whitmer did talk a little bit about education and funding in there. Some of the highlights included an increase in preschool funding, particularly for high-risk and high-poverty areas that she's hoping to get. She did, again, reinforce the language of the School Finance Research Collaborative and the weighted funding formula, and said that she intends to work towards that within the budget. The third thing that was really interesting in her State of the State address was the fact that she's put a consortium of foundations together to help parents navigate the third grade reading law, because this is the first year that law's impact will be felt by families around a retention standpoint. So the foundations are going to be standing ready to help educate parents on what their options are related to that. The other thing that she's done that will impact school finances is she issued bonds for road repairs, which will be a short-term fix around road funding and road repair in the state of Michigan, but it will reduce some of that impact on the conversations and the pressure on the school aid fund. We still need to be very cautious and careful about protecting the school aid fund. Over $1 billion has been taken from that over the last 4 years to help support general fund obligations, so we'll be watching that. House Bill 4739 has been introduced. It's from a local rep over in Commerce Township. It calls for board members to call for school inspections around all kinds of physical plant items without any funding behind that and without any acknowledgement and recognition of the time required to actually make that happen and to get your approvals. So we're worried about that having a potential impact. We have a little bit of a federal rock star within the district, so I've got a video clip. Ben, can you help me with that clip? It's on the laptop over there. And there was a sign pointing to it. But Emily Paris is going out for the State of the Union address and was invited by Representative Slotkin to partake in that. So, oh, thank you, yeah, Emily. Yeah, Steve.
Emily Paris is known to be an advocate for her students, and this week, while she's in Washington, she's hoping that she can continue the fight for funding for special education. Jamie Edmonds caught up with her before she travels to the nation's capital.
It's Friday afternoon, and special education teacher Emily Paris is preparing for next week, as she always does. But in this case, her week just got a whole lot more exciting.
I actually was getting text messages and emails and phone calls, and I was deleting them because I thought they were just spam. And so then Lisa Welch, one of our coworkers, had called me and said I needed to respond to that because it was not spam. It was something that was real.
It was not fake. It was, in fact, very real. Paris was asked to attend the State of the Union address in Washington with Congresswoman Haley Stevens. It was a total surprise.
I'm so honored that someone wants to get the perspective of a teacher in their everyday lives and be able to advocate for something, like you said, that I feel so passionate about. And just to be able to talk to someone that's so influential and that can make those things happen is unbelievable.
The principal at Centennial says Paris is the perfect choice, the perfect advocate for special education.
She's basically embodies everything you want in a teacher, especially somebody that works for our special education population. She goes out of her way, and as you saw from the conversation with her, she always has a smile on her face, just brings that energy, that excitement to her classroom every day. So to have somebody like that represent the entire school, all of us as educators, she's just the perfect person to do so.
Paris has been teaching for 8 years, 5 in South Lyon at Centennial. She has tried to become as involved as possible. She coaches the 8th grade volleyball team. She's an assistant for the Where Everyone Belongs program, and she coaches powder puff football. But it's special education that is her passion, and she is so excited to talk to lawmakers about the need for more funding and what that funding would mean to the kids.
I'm very excited. I'm excited that I get to advocate for something that I'm so passionate about. I'm very nervous at the same time because this is something that I would have never dreamed of.
It's definitely promising and something that we're hoping continues, at least the conversation, at least to get for all of our students in here in South Lyon. Any help that we can get in terms of funding from the state government or the federal government, we'll gladly accept.
Jamie Edmonds, Local 4.
So a great representation of South Lyon Community Schools, wonderful opportunity for Emily to be able to share her story with representatives in Washington. And the timing was pretty good because this previous weekend was a federal lobbying effort by the National Association of School Boards. So they're used to hearing from people, so they won't be surprised by that. 2 more things for your radar screen. The superintendent search is active. There's currently an online survey that parents and community members can fill out. John Silveri spent 2 days in the district last week. He hosted over 10 community feedback sessions between staff, parents, community, and students. So we're anxious to continue to help with that. And now that you said yes to the bond proposal, bond presentations will start tomorrow. I'll be at the South Lyon High School staff meeting at 2:30 with the first rollout of what we're going to try to do, and I'll gather great feedback. And we'll keep going from there. So thank you for that. And I also need you to check your calendars for Monday night, February 10th at 6 o'clock for a discipline hearing.
Dr. Heitch, if I could, Mr. Silveri called today to ask us to take that survey off of the website, so I think he considers it closed. Yes.
Okay.
So just so the people know that.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm available for the meeting.
I'm sorry, you said 17?
The 10th.
The 10th.
At 6 o'clock.
At 6. I can make it.
Yep, I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, board committee reports, legislative, Randy's not here, but I don't think they've had a meeting. Policy, we just met prior to this meeting, and we finished off the administrative regulations. We did 6,000s through the 9,000s. So we've gone through all of those, and we're going to send those back to Los Albertson to update policy, or the regulations, and then they'll go back to the committee for a final review, and we should look to see them on
The March
March
16th, I think it's the second March board meeting we were targeting.
Okay, so that's all we have for policy. Finance?
We just had a finance committee meeting today, starting discussions on assumptions for budgeting for the next school year. Just, what we're gonna plug in for increase in funding and increase in enrollment. And then also discussed a couple Schedule C changes for extracurriculars, I guess best way to say it.
Okay. Facilities planning?
We haven't had a meeting since our last board meeting, but, the resolution for the bond is probably the biggest thing for that.
Okay. And curriculum and communications?
We meet this Thursday. I have two things. I'll defer one to Mr. Kirby for a moment. We came up with a charge for our committee, finally. After 3 years, it finally put pen to paper. I have a copy if you want a copy. For the record, I was just going to read it. I think it's a matter of presenting it to the committee on Thursday. It says the Curriculum and Communications Committee is a board-appointed committee composed of a representative group of board members, parents, teachers, staff, or support staff, and administration for the purpose of supporting and strengthening communications and relations between our district and our community. This committee serves as a venue for creative and collaborative curricular input with the seated department and our community at large to ensure our curriculum meets the changing needs of our students.
Thank you, that sounds good.
I think it encompasses the idea and the reason for the committee, and is kind of broad.
Yeah, this committee was created about 3 years ago without a specific direct charge. So we asked them to do that, so yeah, thank you.
You want me to talk about
It's all yours, sure.
So the graphs that I basically set in front of you, there's two. So there's version 1, version 2. So the committee's been working, you guys each would have it here. The committee's been working to create since, I think it was April of 2017 when this actual discussion started. But the charge was to come up with a logo and a slogan. And so the committee, quite some time ago, came up with a slogan, which was student-centered, future-focused. And then there was a lot of work that was done around a logo, and then it basically got pushed back to the committee again. We did some work over, I think, the last 3 months or so, 4 months. Eric's done a nice job of keeping us focused and moving us forward. We basically have taken apart what we had initially, which had a starburst, had like a badge type with our letters in it. That we basically took that away. So in short, we created some other options. You'll see your version 1 is really what it comes down to, boils down to, and it's basically just text. We've taken away all the busyness and all the other things, just simply South Lyon Community Schools. This is what the committee is recommending as we move forward if we want to change our current logo. Currently our logo is the star with the swoosh. That's what we would be replacing. Excuse me, the second version, what that is South Lyon East's E. So one of the members asked, well, couldn't we partner that with some of our current building logos? So that's what that second version is just to give you some visual of what it would look like if one of the respective schools wanted to take and tag their logo with our logo. So that's why the two versions. So I think from there, I think the committee's charge really, we just want to hear from the board what you think about this version, if this is something that you want us to move forward with, if you want to scrap the idea, if you want to start over. Those are really all the options, and I'm just throwing out what the options are. So Eric, I'll turn it back over to you, but these were the visuals that the committee approved and asked to move forward.
No, please don't say toss it out and start over.
So I just thought I'd throw out all the options for transparency.
That could be an option. I think one of the next things for us to look at is an implementation strategy to figure out with Stacy what kind of finances we incur doing this and find out how soon, not to say how soon, but what's the best way to go about making it happen if we so choose to do that. I don't know in my history here if this is something that needs to be approved by the board by vote or officially or unofficially, just administration does it. I don't know what past practice or history is. So I'm going to leave that up to somebody who may have more history in executing that.
I believe the swirl outdates all of us.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can articulate what that
Exactly.
process was.
Correct, and I think that was one of the challenges, because we went through and already had selected at some point, and then it got paused, and then brought back. I really think the effort by the district, and many of you are different than where, when this first started, was a rebranding, is what it felt like after strategic planning. And so how many ever months ago, we were asked to continue to move forward. And that's why I throw out all the options, because I'm not sure where the board sits with that rebranding at the moment, and whether or not that this is the brand that you want to live with for an extended period of time. I mean, frankly, it's going to be, probably going to outlive all of us, like that star has those that chose that. It's been here for a long time, so.
I would suggest the new superintendent would love for you to have this done before they come in.
Any other thoughts or comments?
That's all I have.
Stacy, Ms. Witt, how long do you think, what do we need to do to roll this out? Have you even thought about this yet, or?
No, the logo has not been on my top priority, the bond was.
Right.
So, but
Completely
I
understandable.
probably can gather some information by the end of the week and share it with you guys if you want information to help decide how you want to move forward with it.
And just to be clear, one of the things we talked about with the finance committee, she's certainly being put on the spot, because we talked about it in our curriculum communications committee, was what it would look like to rebrand everything, basically. Our letterhead, the stickers on some of the equipment, transportation. We have a few different stickers on vehicles. So, like, how much would that cost? That's really what their role would be, to figure out, do we want to do this as a slow rollout, or do we want to just do everything all at once? And that's what we're going to have to ask her, and we can work with her on what our parameters were that we were looking at.
Okay. All right, anything else? Nope. Okay, for other, we wanted to discuss the social-emotional therapy dog pilot proposal. And I
So you
see-
have a proposal
Yep.
in front of you that Mrs. Fisher submitted late last week. She's obviously with us tonight to answer any questions, if you have them. And I have the sense that the Board of Education is in favor of pursuing this. And you really just want to have conversations so that we know that we have permission to go forward with a pilot, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I know the superintendent from Brighton had offered the ability for us to come out and visit. I was going to try to schedule something for next week to do just that in an afternoon, just to see how they're using their dogs.
Yeah.
Once I schedule that, I will throw it out to the group if anybody else wants to join or is available to join.
Sure.
One of the questions I had was on, are there any specific policy changes that we would need to incorporate, which we can discuss that with Brighton, or have Ms. Fisher talk to them about that. But that's one thing that I want to make sure we have buttoned up before we bring the dog into the building.
I did talk with Kevin a little bit of Lusk Albertson about this, and he said in a big umbrella, it falls under the ADA policy, American with Disabilities Act. He said if we're thinking to bring in some therapy dogs, he would really like to try to understand the purpose in that, and then create some regulations to help support the board's goals and purpose with that. So he's open to doing that as well, so.
I'm excited about this, so just to put that out there. And we have some folks from the South Lyon Education Foundation, including our chair, Ms. Tomei, Ms. Samluck, who's kind of our general go-getter person who's kind of all over the place doing great things, sitting with Ms. Fisher. And the South Lyon Foundation Education Foundation is prepared to offer a sizable donation to get this off the ground. So that I'm pumped up about that, and I'm hoping that we can grow this, because I have no doubt that Ms. Fisher and her team are going to be successful with it. So that's where I am.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Any other specific questions or comments that we want to have Ms. Fisher investigate, or?
The one thing, I mean, with this being a pilot program, it'd be nice if we could collect some type of a data on if there's any measurable improvement, although that might be, I don't know if that's even possible. I mean, if there's any way to survey the state of the kids or state of the students, before it goes into effect, and then maybe look at it at some point during the middle of the school year or something and see if there's any type of a change. The one part of the presentation that really got me was the fact that it seemed like the answers to the surveys that were presented, we were higher than the state of Michigan averages, and that's concerning. And I would like to see if this is something that helps bring that down, gets us at least average or hopefully below average.
Did we want some information too about the insurance piece of it?
Yes, it's probably.
Because do we have any sense of what insurance-wise, what impact that might have financially?
Our liability insurance is with SETSAG, which is a insurance company basically set up for schools. When Brighton was here doing their presentation, they commented how SETSAG was all for it, and it's under their policy. I can reach out to SETSAG and ask them if it's an additional premium to our insurance, but I would doubt it, really. The way SETSAG works is really they're giving back to the schools, and the less claims you have, they actually give you a refund on your premiums because they want to give back to schools. But I can get that information for you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good.
Anything else? If anyone obviously comes up with any other questions, you want to send them to me, and then I will get them to Karen. And hopefully we can bring this back for a vote to approve this pilot at our next meeting, March 3rd? 2nd?
So is that common practice for the Board of Education in South Lyon to act on pilot programs? Or is that administrative prerogative?
Oh,
easy for me to ask, as interim, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what? That's an excellent question, because I don't know that we've had something like this brought to us, at least that's I've been here.
Because administratively, we're ready to
Kick it off?
answer the questions and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
I have no problem with them going forward, for sure.
I don't either.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Go for
Good
it.
news. You don't need us.
Even better.
Yeah.
Move on. And then I have one other, I also spoke with John Silveri from MLI today about the superintendent search, and he is going to send me the job description tomorrow for review, and then I will forward it out to everyone. He needs any questions, comments, changes by Thursday, because he wants to have it go live on Friday. In there, it will be included, the salary will be part of that, so make sure that you all look at that and get back with me if you have any
Okay, great.
opinions on that. All right, anything else? Any others? Okay, then we will move to item 11 is reports, South Lyon Educational Foundation. Mr. Bate, do you want to talk on that, or you want me to?
You probably know more about the
Current
fashion
things?
show
Okay.
piece of it.
The South Lyon Education Foundation, we have our fashion show on March 7th, and those tickets are available online and at Coral Sash directly if you would like to go there. And we also have our Perseverance Award Scholarship applications are out now, and they are due by April 20th. So those are college scholarship opportunities for one at both high schools. So we definitely want to encourage our students to apply for those.
And the board meets on Wednesday, and those voting members are now, I'm sure, really excited to vote to do some funding for the therapy dog.
All right. With that, item 12 is public comments. It's our second opportunity for public comments. If anyone would like to speak, you can speak and then just fill out a yellow card after. Just step up to the mic.
I just want to know where you find those applications at for the scholarships.
This-
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Oh, okay.
The website is slefoundation.org, and there's a tab for Perseverance. Okay.
So the foundation scholarships can be found on slefoundation.org, and they're also on both of the high school websites under I think it's under counseling, and there's like a scholarship tab, and it's on there as well, because I've seen it.
I just wanted to comment on the emotional support dog.
Mhm.
I'm all for that. I got one for my son. It's the only reason he sleeps through nights since this has happened. So measuring that, it helps. May not be able to be done in a school, but I can guarantee you it will help.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, item 13 is correspondence. We have 2 resignations. And item 14 is our meeting dates. And with that, we have board comments. Mr. Schwegler, would you like to start?
Where to start? Excited that we're going to go forward with this bond. I think that's going to be great. Hopefully the community at large agrees. Congratulations to the new hire. That's all I have today.
Mr. Kennedy?
Congratulations to Emily Paris. I think it's a very cool thing to be able to do. Proud that she's going there. Welcome, Mr. Turney. We have a lot coming up, so thanks for everybody's support. That's all I have.
First, I want to say I was thoroughly impressed by the robotics team who did a presentation for us before the meeting. I think every single kid on that team is significantly smarter than I am. It's astounding what they can do. Welcome to Mr. Turney, and congratulations to Ms. Paris. And I think the support dog up at East, that pilot's going to be kind of fun to see happen, and hopefully, just like Brighton, we can roll it out to every school in the district.
Mr. Mate?
Yes, super excited about the therapy dog. I think this is going to be a really good thing. And hopefully, as we go forward with the success of that, we'll build, and maybe it'll be some other beast out there in the district. We'll see how it goes. Excited to go out and promote the bond as well. Necessary, lots of necessary work in there, all necessary work in there, and it's going to be important for us to get out there and make sure people understand that and answer questions and and beat the drum for it because we need it. So that's a good thing. Welcome to our new administrator. I want to say that myself, I'm sure I speak for my colleagues, we're deeply sorry for what your family has dealt with. The law is very particular and specific in terms of what we're allowed to say and respond to, but what I want you to know is that we do hear you. And that's all I have for today.
Mr. Dashner?
I planned on saying something similar to Tony, but he's much more eloquent than I am. But probably the hardest part of the job is when we get emails like the one you sent us. It hits hard, and please understand that we hear it and we feel it. We've all got kids at home, so and please understand that we do everything we can to keep all the kids safe. We just can't always talk about what that means sometimes, so please know that we understand. On a lighter note, I do want to thank the robotics team for coming in here and doing the presentation. It's amazing to see what Ron does with those kids or those students every year. A lot of ingenuity, a lot of hard work with them. Congratulations, Emily. It's good to see the recognition there. Also excited about the support dog. I mean, I do support it. I just, when I ask for data, I'm wondering, is it enough? Are we doing enough for our students here? And then lastly, the bond. Time to saddle up. I hope everyone supports it and we can be successful with it and do some good improvements to our facilities.
Okay. Everyone's pretty much said everything. Thank you to the robotics team. They come every year and they do a fabulous job. And by all the donations we get, they're very successful. Welcome to Mr. Turney. Congratulations to Ms. Paris. Thank you for speaking and for coming and letting us know. And it's not easy to do, and we appreciate it. And we are, like they both said, we do hear you, and we are doing our best on that. The emotional support dogs, I think, would be fabulous, and Brighton has them in every building, and that would be a goal of ours. I think our students could really use it. And hopefully the Educational Foundation will continue to help us with that, and that would be a great partnership. So I think with that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So, support.
Moved by Mr. Abate, supported by Mr. Dashner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. We are adjourned.